Hi, everybody. I'm going to start because I know that some people have meetings to get to, and it's Sunday, and those of you who are abroad may have children at home, and I understand it all. So it's a little, I want to keep to our hour that we have today. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Kim Bash, and I'm originally from South Africa. I currently reside in the old city of Jerusalem. And I made Aliyah actually from Israel. I ended up coming here on a program. I was working in New York, and I happened to come here on a program and never ended up actually going back to live in America. Sorry, I was meant to mute everybody as they came in, but it didn't happen on the settings. So I just asked everybody, if you don't mind, just to please mute yourselves, because there's a very, you can hear all the background noise. Okay, so I got into real estate about more than 12 years ago when I came to live in Israel. And the reason I got into real estate to begin with was I really wanted my parents who were living in South Africa to come and live in Israel. So hold on, I'm going to mute everybody. Hold on, mute. Okay, sorry. Maybe Deb, you're on here. Can you mute people who are not muted? Okay, sorry. Okay, so I got into real estate to help my parents who were living in South Africa come and actually make Aliyah. And I started to get just involved in the last, I would say, year and a half, when people could not make pilot trips to Israel. People were reaching out to me and saying, we want to come to Israel, but we don't know where we want to go. So I started to showcase different communities around Israel during the whole of last year. And we are so happy that so many people who are making Aliyah are actually coming to live in the communities that we showcased during that time, which is pretty incredible. Also, what's happened in the last year is that people were unable to purchase properties. So we had several transactions, sight unseen, where people had not seen the property and I was their eyes. I went to look at several properties for people and they bought with me, and I used to ask them to please bring their friends with them or somebody else, because it's not like buying a pair of shoes. So I'd be like, you have to bring at least one other person to see the property. So we've made several transactions over the last 12 months to people who have not actually been in Israel to look at the properties. So which has been pretty incredible. And it's happening all over Israel right now. The real estate market is incredibly strong. And even people who are not necessarily making Aliyah, but they want to secure a property in Israel to get their foot in the door. And that's really what is happening right now. And I'm talking everywhere. Devorah will talk later about Ramat Beit Shemesh, but we're seeing it across Israel right now. And unfortunately, the prices are not going down. We haven't seen, if anything, they are only going up. And it's just, you just need to know, people get very upset about it, but that's just the reality of what's on the ground right now. I cannot tell you what will happen in a year's time. Now, hopefully they're going to be opening up the skies and more people are going to be coming to Israel. We're not sure yet. But there is definitely much more interest than ever before than purchasing property in Israel. Also because of the political climate, what's going on, the rise of anti-Semitism all over America, as well as in Europe. So that's what's going on right now in the market. Every week we try and showcase a different community or real estate opportunities. And we also are going to be hosting every week somebody who's going to be making Aliyah or has made Aliyah. So we are so privileged to have Aleeza on tonight. And she's going to tell us a little bit about her story. And Aleeza, where is
Hi,
she?
Kim.
Hi,
how are you?
So Aleeza actually contacted me. When was it? Just how many months before you came to Israel?
So we had the decision, this is going to happen late June 2020, June 27th, if you want to know. I have all the dates in my head.
Crazy.
And immediately after I thought of that, I was like, okay, well, we have to figure out where we're going to live. Like, great that you're going to make Aliyah, but where do you think you're actually going to live? And I said, I don't know. So I called Kim and she's like, okay, well, what's the feel, the community, the style, the type? And we started to talk about a lot of different things. I said, look, the most important thing, I need one friend in the city. one person that I already know that lives there. And so I started to look at communities where I knew people. And the city that we chose is Pardes Chana, which most people are like, where is that? And what is that? So just geographically, if you have Tel Aviv here and Haifa here, we're kind of in the middle. If you know where Caesarea or Caesarea is, where the beach is, it's inland, or Netanya, about 25 minutes north of Netanya. That's usually how I direct people. And I said, do you have any information about it? And I think you're like, actually, we're just about to do an informational session. So,
that's right. I remember.
Right. So we started to hear about it. And then actually a dear friend of ours, I think he's even on this call, who's going to be moving here. He had somebody do a little tour through Pardes Chana and sent us this video of the, parts of the community that he had seen. And I showed it to the kids. And then when we arrived, the kids were all like, oh, Ima, this is the street. This is, this is the palm tree street. Remember, he showed us this? Ima, this is from the video. So it started to feel a little bit familiar, even though we weren't able to have a pilot trip.
And Aleeza, I just love watching you on Facebook. Aleeza is just so positive, and she puts down all on a daily basis her experiences and adjustments in Israel. And it's just such an inspiration to watch you grow, your family, and you just are. It's just so beautiful to see. What has been some of the challenges that you wish you had known before you came?
Okay, so a few interesting things. We have older children that we sent beforehand, and they were in boarding school here. And I did all my paperwork with Nefesh B'Nefesh. And by me, I'm getting off the plane, and all 7 of us are making Aliyah. And we get off the plane, and they're like, oh no, the kids that are here, no, they have to make Aliyah from Israel. I'm like, no, I did everything with Nefesh B'Nefesh. They're like, sorry, they weren't on the plane. They're not a part of the whole group. So we had to go through a separate process for our 2 big kids. We also did rent a house sight unseen, and it didn't work out so well. It did. I call it, my blessing house, because it's the house that got us here. It's the address that we gave the lift company, and it got us to come, but it is not the house that we're currently living in. And it turned out to be much different than we had expected. And so we had to just very quickly find somebody that you were friends with in our specific area. She took us around. We saw 2 homes. We picked one of the 2, and through many interesting challenges, but we have the most magnificent home we absolutely adore and love. And I'm so glad that it worked out that way. But it was, if you could imagine, extremely stressful. The lift was coming in a week, and the house that we were supposed to be in was not a place that we could be in. And then we had no house for a short period of time. We did, thank God, have a place that we were staying in Jerusalem at the time. So we were schlepping back and forth.
And you brought your dog with you, right? You brought your cute little dog.
We brought our dog, and that was Koda the Kelev. That, if anybody heard about that saga, there was a little, we had a hard time getting people to Eretz Israel, and animals were even harder at the time that we came. And so we fought really hard, because we were told, yes, no, yes, no, 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 yes. But I've learned, you got to be Israeli. You want something, you go for it. If it's a no in the end, okay, but a first no isn't really a no. It's just kind of like, nah, it's not a hard no is like, sweetheart, you asked 5 times. Don't call me again. That's really a no.
You have to push yourself in sometimes, and you have to do things you never thought, as we'd say, Israeli chutzpah. That's really what it is, and don't take no for an answer, and cry if you need to.
So we also had a few challenges when we had to go to some of the offices I kind of thought that the paperwork was on the, front loaded. So we did it all before we got to Israel. And then when you get to Israel, it's like, fine, you're here, everything, you put everything in place, but it's not the case. So you have to do things to get your Tudat Zehut and your banking set up and all of these other steps. And one of the offices, somebody must have been having a bad day and she took it out on me. And at a certain point, I'm trying in broken Hebrew and I'm telling her everything like, look, I have all the things, I don't understand. And at one point I said, listen, I don't know what's wrong, but I didn't do this to you. You have to be nice. In America, people are nice. We just made Aliyah. You have to be nice to me. And I'm crying and I'm crying. And she just looked at me like this. And the manager came over and everybody's like, oh gosh, you know, we have to calm this lady down. And I thought, like, this is not how you handle people. You have to be better at this, right? You're in the office all the time dealing with non-Israelis. Welcome them to the country in a different way. And the next time I came back to the office, because I of course had to come back a second time, she looked at me and she's like, Beseder? Like, Hayom, today, you okay? I'm like, I'm okay. You're going to be nice? We're okay? I'll be okay if you're okay. So,
That's hilarious.
You know, we've had our moments.
And tell me something, how have the children adjusted?
So we have 5 children, and our youngest is 7 and our oldest is 17. The 2 big ones that we sent ahead of us are in boarding schools here. And that was a little bit of an adjustment because, you know, they were here for 5 months without us. Then we arrived, then it was a reuniting of the family, which was like almost emotional in that we hadn't seen each other, and they had been in lockdown in Israel so much with the school. It was a very difficult time, and the whole world was very difficult, but they were away from us during that time. So it was very sweet to be back together again, but then it was a hard adjustment to get them back into school. But thank God we, you know, worked through all of the emotional ups and downs. And the younger kids are 7, 9, and 11 in 1st, 3rd, and 5th grades. And we put them into one school locally. It's not the right fit for us, so we are going to be switching, but we knew that the school that we started with was like our soft landing place. And we intentionally put them there so that we would just have something to come right into, even though the end of the year, they didn't even start until after Pesach. So they're getting from then until maybe through July, because they're going to have a little bit of summer school. So they're getting used to it. I said, how much do you understand in the class? And one of my sons is like, no, I don't really understand. The other one said, like, I'm getting 15, 20%. The youngest one, who's 7, it seems to like the Hebrew is falling out of his mouth. You know, he'll answer certain things. And he told me the other day, he said, Ima, when I don't know what they ask me, I just tell them Ken. I said, but what if you're not answering the right question? He goes, oh, well, that's what I know how to say. So I just tell them yes.
Have they made friends, the children?
Yes, they've made friends. Even the ones that they, you know, can't speak with, everybody speaks playground, you know, like it just means we hang out together and we do whatever game and they learn it. I think it's easier for them to connect with the Anglos and all of the English speakers in the community. So we've had people over for Shabbat, people have invited us over. And so we've made friends in the community. And even from school, we got calls from parents. Hi, our kids want to play, you know, they met, you know, can they come over? And one play date, you know, the boys spoke Hebrew and my kids spoke English. I said, well, how did you play? They're like, we didn't talk very much. It was a very quiet play date. I was like, oh, my favorite kind. Invite more of your Israeli friends over. It's okay. But they're figuring it out.
And do the kids, in terms of the, like, tell us, I mean, we've done Pardes Chana, by the way. I suggest anybody who wants a very chilled, welcoming community to check out on YouTube our, we did a series, as I said, called Find Me a Community in Israel, and Pardes Chana was on my top favorites. And I think the people are just so warm and authentic. It's just such a beautiful community, and it's a melting pot of so many different types of people. And I think that's what the beauty of the place is. So it's also on the train line, so it's very convenient. Have you bought a car? You got a car when you first got there? You had a car?
No. So we rented a car for 3 weeks and just said, we're going to overspend, but we just can't deal with that immediately. And we are actually sharing a car with somebody, and they like upped their insurance and changed things to be able to have other drivers. And so it's a tremendous blessing that we do not have to buy a car right now, and we just have time to figure it out. And so that's what we're doing.
So you get around very easily. It's not a hard thing to get around, to get on a bus, local buses.
tons of buses. There's a bus stop right out front. I walked 3 blocks and the bus. So you can take a bus to the train station, which is about 10 minutes down the road from where I live. It's closer to, people on the other side of the community. And I took the train to Netanya. The train, by the way, was gorgeous and clean. The bus also, like, just new and beautiful. I got on and I was thinking, wow, if I had to be a commuter, I would not mind at all. It's like being on the train for a little bit.
To get to Netanya.
So it's interesting because I got on and I was thinking, wow, that was so fast. I don't know if it was
15 minutes,
20 minutes. Yeah, 20 minutes maybe. There was a little traffic, or a little, not traffic, but like something where they were a little bit delayed with one of the stops. But it was amazing. It was I was so surprised at how easy it was. Like the card, you take the card, I didn't know, to get the card.
The transport in Israel, I think, is pretty amazing. And I mean, even when now in Jerusalem, if I need to go to the airport, I take the fast train. It's 22 minutes or something to Ben Gurion from Jerusalem. And if you want to go into Tel Aviv, it's another 10 minutes. So it's very, very convenient. And then also to Tel Aviv from Jerusalem, it's about, I would say, from Jerusalem to Netanya is about an hour and a half. To Pardes Chana, it's also probably about the same, an hour and a bit to get there. But it's very convenient. The point is, Pardes Chana is a very convenient location. Anybody is looking for a community. The one thing I wanted to ask you, and then we're going to move on to the properties and opportunities tonight, is tell people what you do, because it's pretty cool.
I work as a dating and relationship coach for singles who are looking to find their soulmate and get married. So I work, and I have a lot of different programs that we're doing. Right now we're running something that's called Dating Detox, which is all about getting rid of your baggage and focusing on attracting your soulmate instead of focusing on your baggage a little bit too much. With the last year that we've had, everybody kind of needs to do a detox to get rid of all the schmutz. And I've been virtual with my business the entire time, except for any of the speaking engagements or things that I do in person. So all of my coaching has always been remote. Every once in a while, I used to live in Philadelphia. They would come into Philly. They'd be like, I'm in New York. I'm driving in to see you. But for the most part, people were virtual with me. So going virtual and this whole 2020 and what happened, I was like, no, we're already there. This is how we run our business. And they're like, oh, you don't meet in person? I said, no, we never have, right? We have coaches from all over the world. We work with singles from all over the world, all ages, all stages, all backgrounds. Wow. I think similar to you, right? You cater to all communities and all types of peoples. And it doesn't matter if you're somebody who's Jewish, who's looking for a place, you can find it. And if you're looking for your soulmate, we help you through the process. It's very similar.
Well, I think it's harder to I think it's easier to find a house than it is to find
It's very similar though. It's very similar. Like that bashert, that soulmate, that there's Absolutely. A house for every person, and there's also a person for every person, but finding it and matching it up to get it just right, it's very difficult. And when you absolutely know, you're like, oh, that's my place. I see it, I know it, I can tell it's what I'm looking for, and it has everything or most of the things that you need.
Well, that's what I think is so important. And I always say to clients, I'm not a real estate broker. I'm a matchmaker. I'm a property and community matchmaker. And that's what we do, because it really is, you really do have to understand your client's needs. And that for me is very, very important. It doesn't matter what the budget is, but the worst thing is to come to Israel, especially if you are coming. I'm not talking about somebody who necessarily is not making Aliyah, but even for investments, if you don't know and you put yourself in the wrong place, it will be, oh my goodness, get me out of here. What am I doing here? Because for me, a house is, just a house, but it's when you find the community, that's really when you find your home. So, sometimes you're lucky and blessed enough to find it first time, like you did, maybe, I hope. Yes. And sometimes you do have to shop around a little bit, but it does take a bit of time. And that's hopefully what I have been quite successful in doing. And it's really a very big blessing to be able to have the clarity when you meet people to understand their needs. And I think that it's especially when you're coming to Israel, you really need to do a lot of homework, a lot of investigation, and speak to people on the ground. And Aleeza, you're just doing so well. I just give you a blessing that it should continue this way and continue. Please go on and sign a Facebook friend, Aleeza. And if you know anybody who's looking for a shidduch, no matter their background, be in touch with her because she's amazing. And thank you so much for coming on tonight. I really, really, really appreciate it. Now you got to get more of your friends. I love.
I do. I have. They're coming, and they're all. I tell them, I'm like, come to Pardes Tana, and a few of them are like, I might go somewhere else. I'm like, you can, but you should also look at Pardes Tana. It's just such a warm place, and it's diverse, like you said. But thank you for everything that you do, because you really helped me to have clarity. And I had questions, and I was just in touch with you, and I just felt like, wow, somebody actually answers it. It's not an automated thing. It's like a real human being. When I had a real question, you gave a real answer, and I really appreciated that so much.
Thank you so much. And just absolutely only hatzlacha, and everything should just be good. And I look forward to having you over in Jerusalem.
Yes, so I would love it.
Great. Looking forward. Thank you so much. Okay. Thank you, Aleeza. Okay. Thank you, everybody. I think it's so important to hear from real people on the ground, to actually, to talk to people. And I don't know if Aleeza has to go, but if anybody has any questions, if Aleeza allows, I'm happy to give you, if she allows, her email address and contact information if you have any questions. I'm now going to pass on to Devorah, who's just going to introduce herself and what she does for Kim Bash Real Estate, and just tell you a little bit about what's going on her side of the world. She specializes in the Ramat Beit Shemesh area, which has been incredibly popular, even more so than ever in the last 18 months. So I wanted Devorah just to share a little bit about what's going on.
Hi, everybody. How you doing? It's great to be here tonight. And just, the energy in the world has been so crazy, as we all know. I feel like we're like one big family going through a lot of different issues, from COVID to the recent situation in Meron, and then the tension here between the Arabs and the Jews, and now what's going on collectively all over. So I feel like, whenever there's a group of Jews together, we really have to have that feeling that Am Yisrael Chai, we really are one family, and we really have to take an extra effort to look out for each other. So hi, I'm Devorah Benarroch, and I live in Ramat Beit Shemesh Aleph. Originally, once upon a time, I was from New Jersey, and then I lived in Manhattan. And then I made Aliyah just within a year after 9/11. And that was really a big catalyst for me, as I watched that happen living in the West Village of New York, being like, wow, what's going on in the world? And then it took me on a journey. Anyway, fast forward, I live here in Eretz Yisrael. I've been in sales and marketing for years and years, first in fashion, then in multimedia, and in advertising, and then Kim, about a year ago, went and opened up her own business and was like, Devorah, you got to help me. You got to help me help these Olim come home to Israel. Now is the time. And it just every month, it just gets more intense. How we see how important it is to come home to Israel and to know where to go and what's out there. So I love helping. I live here in the neighborhood of Ramat Beit Shemesh, and I moved here 2 years ago. I was living in Telstone previously, and I wasn't a right fit for my kids in the school, so we moved here, and I really love it. It's a great community. It's very warm. It's a suburbia, so it's I feel like there's green, there's you see rolling hills, but you're there's apartments, there's cottages, there's semi-attached cottages, there's penthouses, there's garden apartments, there's all different kinds of apartments, but it is really it's, I want to say packed, but it's full. People are coming here in droves. So the real estate is really actually when I always say to people, supply and demand. The supply is tight, the demand is great. Therefore, the prices just keep inching up and inching up. Every time I turn around, the prices are hiking up. So that is a reality, but there still are things always on the market that are coming up. So, but the rentals are tight. It's definitely, I have a long list of people who are looking to rent, and I wish I had things for them. The things that I keep coming up are a bit older apartments that haven't been refurbished or don't have a new kitchen. And I tell people, if the price is right and you have a little bit of extra budget, and you can I have a friend who moved into Ramat Beit Shemesh Daled. She's going to be there for 1 to 2 years. She put in kitchen cabinets. She put in molding. Not everybody has a budget to do that, but some people they weigh up the cost. Like if the rental price is a decent price and they have like some room in there, you could do some upgrades on your own. And maybe sometimes owners will even work out with you. They'll give you a discount if you want to have the apartment painted upscale, or you want to put in some certain things that'll make your life happier. Some people do that. So just to let you know that those kind of things are options. And then as far as sales, there are, Baruch Hashem, in Mem Shalosh is a new area. And it's just, there are bits and bobs of things that are coming on the market, but it's tight. It's really tight. But a lot of people like to live in that area because it's right by this Gan Yarmut, which is one of the largest parks here in the area. And it's beautiful, and there's a walking parks, and there's like 3 or 4 kids parks in there. So people out there walking, running, blading, all kinds of exercise, and it's just beautiful. We have a lot of people who are buying on paper in a bunch of different areas. One is Ramat Beit Shemesh, which is also called Neve Shamir, and that is right next to the area of Mishkafayim, which is in Ramat Beit Shemesh Aleph. So Hay is right next to Aleph, and it is a high-rise area, and there's many new buildings going in there. And again, like the inventory just keeps shrinking daily. People are buying on paper. And that's how we're selling it to people in Muncie, people in Chicago, people in Texas, people from all over the country are buying there. And there's still some good opportunities. And there's 3, 4, 5 bedroom apartments. But again, the inventory is limited. Then there is Gimel, which is on the other side of Aleph, and it's more Israeli, but there's definitely a mix of Americans living inside Gimel. I'd say Gimel more Americans there, and there's different kinds of apartment opportunities, and it's a bit more on the, let's say, yeshivish Haredi side, but it depends on which street and what area. And there are also some very beautiful luxurious homes, private homes that people are building, that have been built, that people are buying there. So we have 2 homes. They're in like 5.9 million price range, but that is for a private, beautiful upscale home. Then in Dalid is this other newest area, and it's also on the more yeshivish side, and it is massive. It's huge. It's like you drive over there. It's right behind Gimel, but it's still like you can drive there from my house. You can drive there in 7 minutes. I'm in Ramat Beit Shemesh Aleph on Nahal Micha, which is like a quick walk to the Merkaz. And it's the older apartments. It's but it's I live on the top floor of a 3-floor walk-up. But we were able to move from Telstone, and we chose this because we wanted to get rid of our mortgage. So everybody has to make their own cheshbonot of what they're looking to do, and I happen to love where I live, and I have a great block and great neighbors, and there's a walking trail also right off of our block. So there's a lot of different options, different things, depends on what you're looking for, what your budget, when you're coming. If you really want to make a purchase or you want to try and find a rental out there in the marketplace, everything is a variable.
What I want to just interject, sorry, Deb, sorry to cut in there, is that what's happening in the market, and I'm not just talking about Ramat Beit Shemesh, is usually I would say to somebody who's looking to come and make Aliyah and do a rental, even if they're coming for a sabbatical of 1 year, is that you would look for a rental about 3 months before you came. But now what's happening, I'm saying we need to find something. And if you find something good, people are taking it even up to, I would say, 3 to 5 months before they actually get you. They're actually taking the rental and committing to it because they are not going to have, there's just too many people looking. So if something good comes on the market, I would advise you to go for it. Obviously, you need somebody to look at it for you, wherever it may be. I have a network of agents that we work with. So if it's not any of the areas we're talking about tonight, please feel free to reach out to me, and I will try and help you in whatever area you're looking at. We usually work with, how it works is somebody will contact me, and they will say, I'm looking to buy or I'm looking to rent. And we talk about the different neighborhoods. Some people don't know where they want to go. So we'll spend some time talking about it and the different opportunities. And then I will start sending them different opportunities in those locations. And then it's just process of elimination. So some people don't have, they cannot deal with doing this from abroad. So they will wait until Israel opens up. And I'm getting a lot of questions now. When is Israel opening up and when are we able to come? I'm hearing different messages now. So I'm not 100% sure. I do know, though, that Birthright is having their first trip that's landing anytime this week. So I think they're doing, depending on the organization, they're doing these little pilot trips as well for people through Nefesh B'Nefesh. But I think that we should start seeing people coming in the next couple of months. I would say 2 to 3 months. It is a process. When you get to Israel, you have to, well, first of all, we have to bring a negative COVID test. And then you have to, I think you've got to, I don't know if you have to go into isolation. I think until maybe the first 24 hours while you're doing your tests to see if you have antibodies. And then I had a client come in for 3 days. He was in what we call bidud for 1 day and then got released. And I'm not sure what happens on the other side in America. But it's definitely opening up. We're seeing people coming every single day. People are getting into Israel now. So there definitely is a chance. I'm not sure with those people who are making Aliyah, where you're holding in the process, but I do think that Nefesh B'Nefesh is trying to speed up applications. And we've heard there's going to be more than 250,000 people coming to Israel in the next 12 to 18 months. I don't know if that's true. That's what we're hearing on the ground, and more people are applying for Aliyah right now. Deb, what I want to do is we're going to start sharing the presentation. Well, I just want to stress to people that this is just a sampling. We have real estate across Israel. It depends on where you want to go. We have opportunities all over. We're just giving you a little bit of a taste of what's available, and we do work with all budgets. And we have an excellent mortgage broker. We have a team of people that work with us. We have brilliant lawyers. One thing which you can find in our previous webinars is that we have how to buy a home in Israel, which I'm not going to bring it into this conversation tonight, but just to give you a very quick summary. Okay, whenever you purchase property in Israel, whether it's a project, new construction, or secondhand purchase, you have your closing costs. So this is something to just, if you're going to purchase, you need to make sure you keep this in mind with your calculations on your budget. And it also depends on the status. If you're buying as a foreigner and you're not going to be making Aliyah, you're on a different status. You're known as a new immigrant. So some of the costings may be a little bit different. But on top of your purchase, you're looking at anything from 5 to 10% on top of your closing costs. So that's just to bear in mind. Make sure that you work with people who are giving you the accurate information. A lot of the times, I also have to stress there's no such thing as a multiple listing server in Israel, like you have in America, like you have Zillow. We don't have it in Israel. So what's happening is a lot of my clients will contact me and say, Kim, we saw these listings online. We contact the agents and they say it was sold. Why do people still advertise properties if they're not current? It's a very big frustration. So what we do is Devorah and I we're buyer's agents. So what happens is people will come to us. You don't have to look at anything, nothing online. We do the research for you because you will be very frustrated. Number one, it's very hard to navigate in Hebrew. Some of the sites are in English, but more frustrating is that the listings are not current. So it's very unfortunate. That's just the reality. It's upsetting, but that's the way it is. So we will source the properties for you. We work with only good developers if you're buying on paper, and we work with the best lawyers because you have to make sure that whatever you do, even a rental contract, has to be checked out by a lawyer. Every property that we sell, it doesn't matter if it's new construction, nobody's ever lived in it before. I insist on an engineer. It doesn't matter if you're going to be doing a full renovation. For me, I won't sell you the property unless you get an inspector to come in and look at it. So these are my rules, okay? And your lawyer, because they check all the registrations. Sometimes in Israel, there's a lot of illegal construction that happens. People enclose balconies. They expand where they weren't supposed to. So it's very important to me that you understand that you need a very good team when you're here, especially coming in, not understanding the language or the culture and the dynamics that happen here. So you do need a good team to work with you, and that's where we come in as a service. Okay, so we're just showing you a little bit of what we're doing. And also somebody asked me about a community. If there's some place that you want me to investigate for you, I will do it with pleasure. Okay, I don't charge for any of this. I do it because I love it and I want to help as many people come to Israel as possible. And as Aleeza said before, there is a place for everybody here. So we need to find you your place. And whether it's now or in 3 years' time, in 5 years' time, there's nothing like investing in Israel. Obviously, appreciation, the yield is not good. You don't earn, like in America, a very high yield on the rentals if you're going to rent it out, but it's appreciation. And every area in Israel, depending where it is, appreciates differently. On average, anything from 3 to 5% a year. Actually, funny enough, this will be interesting to some people. Ashkelon, who was just bombarded with rockets, and people were posting and their selfies in their bomb shelters, before this had the highest amount of appreciation in terms of yearly growth. So it's a beautiful place. We did a great Zoom call on that community as well, so check it out as well. But I'm happy to have a one-on-one with anybody, and I'm going to hand it over to Devorah now to start our presentation. And again, it's just a summary. We have so much more to offer people. Okay, Deb, so
yeah, sure. Before I just get started, I just also want to tell everybody that the projects on paper, many times the financing is what they call 20/80. And kind of what that means is that you put about 20% as your down payment, which is really turns out to be 30%. As Kim said, your closing costs get pulled in on the first of this down payment. So it's about 30% down in the beginning, and then it's 80% just before you get the keys to the apartment. So sometimes you have a leeway of about 2 years. Sometimes it's 3 years, sometimes it's 1 year. It depends on which project, what we're talking about. But that works for a lot of people who don't have their cash ready and they're not ready to make Aliyah. But they want to get their foot in the door into Eretz Israel and they want to buy something. So a lot of people do is they buy something and then in 2 to 3 years time, it's ready. And then if they're ready to be making, and then I have all different scenarios. Sometimes people come even beforehand, they rent till their apartment's ready. Some people rent out when that apartment will be ready. They'll rent it out because they have a 5-year window. And other people sometimes sell it. Sometimes they, after that 5-year appreciation, they want to just flip it over and sell it. So there's a lot of different options when it comes to that. Okay, hang on a minute.
And there's some great opportunities in Beersheba, in Carmiel. I've sold very inexpensive properties in Carmiel, which is also, we did a great Zoom call on Carmiel. So look these places up. If people don't know where they are, I'm happy to sit down with you. Carmel Gut is a very young and upcoming neighborhood as well. There's so many different opportunities going on right now. Okay, so I'm just going to wait for Deb to share her screen.
1 second. Hello. Nope, that's not what we want to be looking at. 1 second. Where is my... Can you see my presentation?
I can see it. I'm not sure if everybody else can.
1 second. Hang on. One sec. Where are we going here? Here we go. Yeah?
Okay. Yes.
Okay.
Okay, so we're just going to show you a little bit about what's going on. This is in the German colony. The German colony, for those of you who know, is a very popular place, very vibey, lots of restaurants. It kind of reminds me of like down in Manhattan, like Soho kind of vibe, shops, restaurants, very happening place. This is a renovated 2-bedroom apartment. This, I would say, is prime location. It's a walk up, it's first floor, turnkey, asking 3.5 million shekels. Okay, this is a beautiful, magnificent apartment. This is in a new project called Mishkanat Ta'uma that is right by the central bus station. Okay, right by Gansaka, for those of you know Gansaka, the big beautiful park, and also a very, very short walk to Machana Yehuda, as what we call the Shuk. This is a beautiful, we have a little spelling error there, 4-bedroom apartment, sukkah balcony, parking, storage, asking 4.35 million shekels. Now, I want to also just stress here that every transaction in Israel, 99% everything is priced in shekels. When I first started in real estate many years ago, it was US dollar prices on all the purchases. Now it is shekels, only shekels. Okay. Now this is a beautiful garden apartment in an area called Abbotswell, which is on the border of Baka. This is a garden apartment, 3 bedrooms, 2 full bathrooms, very close to transportation, an easy walk to the old city, and they're asking 3.35 million shekels. Okay, a very new area, which has become very popular because it's very close to the American embassy, is what we call New Anona. And there's been a whole new development there. Lots of different new buildings. They're even building a new school there. It's about a 45-minute walk, I would say, to the old city from here. This is a very cute 2-bedroom, 2-bathroom, parking and storage. All the new buildings have mamads, which is your bomb shelter rooms as well. And the asking price here is 2.55 million shekels. Okay, I'm now selling, I'm sure some of you have seen it advertised. It's been advertised all over the internet, on social media, a luxury tower, 27 floors in downtown Jerusalem called the Jerusalem Spirit. It is a luxury building, and it sold out so quickly. It's unbelievable. I think it's 197 apartments. We have 15 left for sale. And they are pricey because of the amenities. It's going to have 2 synagogues, a swimming pool, a doorman, and conference rooms. It's going to be very, very luxurious. And the location is amazing. It's right by Independence Park and right by the city center. So for those of you who know, like the Great Synagogue, it's about a 5-minute walk to the Great Synagogue. If you walk through the park, you are very close to Mamilla, about 10 minutes. The only thing with this building you need to know is that it's a tall building, 27 floors. Not everybody likes such big, tall buildings. And also, I can't guarantee how many people are going to be living there full time. I would say probably about 20%. So this is not necessarily a place that you would buy if you're making Aliyah. This would be more like an investment apartment. And the prices start at about 3.9 million shekels, but there are not many of those ones available. And there's a lot of 2-bedroom apartments left. All of them have beautiful views overlooking the park. I don't think we have anything left facing the old city. Okay. Okay, this is your start, Deb.
Okay, so this is one of the 2 buildings that we have in Ramat Beit Shemesh. As I told you, this is next to Mishkafayim in the new Neve Shamir location. So this one happens to be a 5-room apartment, and it's 120 square meters, which is a nice size, 4th floor, and also has the option to build out 23 meters. This means onto where this Merpeset area is, and it's going to be ready in under 3 years' time. And, oops, sorry about that. And
excuse me, could I just ask a quick question?
Sure, go ahead.
When you say like a 5-room apartment, how many bedrooms is that?
4
Could you
rooms,
explain that?
4 bedrooms, sure. In Israel, it's always, they go one over. They include the salon, the living room, as a room. So every time when it says 5-room or 4-room, it means there's actually, let's say it's a 5-room, this means 4 bedrooms. It's a 4-room, there's 3 bedrooms.
Okay, and is there also a separate living room and dining room, or is that like ridiculous?
Yes. No. Usually, like you can see here in this floor plan, there is a couch and a dining room table in one area. It's usually not a separate dining room. You know, it's like an open kind of floor plan. There's
Also, Shana, these things as well on when you're buying on paper, a lot of my clients these are just like renderings and sample floor plans. The only thing that usually cannot be changed here is your mamad, your bomb room. Basically, that cannot be changed, but everything else can usually be changed around according to what you're looking for. So some people in this size apartment will be like, I can't do 4 bedrooms here. It's too small. I want a very large master bedroom. Most people, you know, always joke, my clients say to me, Kim, the whole size of this apartment is my bedroom in America. What are you doing? So it's definitely a reframe. And I always say to people, when you're buying on paper, one of the things I tell them to do is take masking tape, take a tape measure, go into your house and measure the actual area so you can see what that looks like, because it's very hard to visualize on paper what it's going to look like. So again, and also I do advise you, if you're doing something on paper like this, is to work with maybe an interior designer to figure out. A lot of the times people bringing the furniture is not always going to fit into Israeli size apartments. So, you know, it's one of the things, sometimes people have to keep their stuff in storage until they find something, or when, you know, depending on what size they're buying. But these again can be changed. These are just sample floor plans.
Could I ask you how much it is? It's not clear on my screen.
This
Sure,
one is 3 million.
Sorry, 2 million shekels.
Oh, this one's 2 million? Oh,
Where did you say it was?
In what's called Neve Shamir, Ramat Beit Shemesh Hay.
Thank you.
Sure.
This is a very, very popular place right now to buy. It's in such high demand. We have a client now that's buying, thank God she's in a position to do so, 4 apartments for her kids. So because they can finance 20% down now, and like I think it's 80% or 70% before the closing, and then 10% at the very, very end. So there are opportunities here. Okay, Deb, what's next?
Okay, here in Ramat Beit Shemesh Aleph, this is a new, very beautiful upscale project that's going on. It's it's behind what's the street called Luz, where is like the Gra Shul, and there's about 3 or 4 shuls right in this area. So it's right behind that, and then right off also behind Park Ayalon. So it's a great central location in Ramat Beit Shemesh Aleph, and these are going fast. They're expensive and they're going quickly because they're all on one floor. So they're like large apartments all on one floor, very high upscale kitchens, bathrooms. They're doing like very high-end tiling, heated floors. Everyone's gonna have beautiful views. It's there's right now I think only 1 garden apartment left. So if this is something you're interested, definitely contact me and I can, you know, show you more options that are there. But it's called the Rose Garden. It's really stunning. So here's like an example of a 5-room, which is a 4-bedroom, 186 square meter apartment. And this also has an 89 square meter garden. And this is going to be ready in August 2023. Okay, this is Ramat Beit Shemesh Aleph. This is in an area called Ramat Shiloh. This is like right when you're entering the entrance of Ramat Beit Shemesh Aleph. It is on the left-hand side, and it's a great area. There's filled with Anglos, and they have stunning views also. So this one happens to be a 6-room, which is a 5-bedroom house. And it also has a apartment rental, and they're asking 3.3 million shekels.
It's actually an excellent price for this property because it's what we would say very much it's turnkey. You don't have to do anything here. Beautiful, beautiful views. And it's right by, they're doing so much commercial. There's a mall coming up here. There's shops. It's just really, really fantastic, this location.
Yeah. Okay, this is something also in a new area of Modiin, which is about 25 minute drive from Ramat Beit Shemesh. And this is called an area called Morshet. It's like a new area. So also it's moving very quickly. So they have 4, 5, and 6 room options, which is 3-bedroom, 4-bedroom, and 5-bedroom apartments. The one that I'm showing here is a 3-bedroom option, and they're asking, it's 108 square meters, and they have 11 square meter balcony, and also I didn't put in here, but it has parking and storage, and they're asking 2.420 for this million shekel for this option. Okay, Kim, you want to tell them about Netanya?
Okay, so I've presented this project a few times because I think it's absolutely amazing. This is a project by Africa Israel, which is one of the leading developers in Israel. They build all over Israel, and they are building in an area called North Netanya, which is this particular project is about 200 square meters from the beach, and North Netanya is amazing. I did a showcase, I did a Zoom call on North Netanya. There's a young Israel shul. The Orpan of Netanya is a few minutes walk from this building. They've got restaurants, and they've got the AACI is there. There's just a lot happening. And if you like the beach, it's just amazing to have this whole social life, and then also be able to go down to the beach as well. Oh, hold on one second. Okay, can you guys still see me? I just lost my, okay, sorry guys, I lost you for a second there. Okay, so this building, there are 4 buildings. 2 of them are actually going to be completed by the end of this year. It's mostly sold out already. We have, I think it's about 30 apartments left in the first 2 towers. They'll be ready by, I think it's October, November of this year. We have a few apartments left for sale. I will go through it individually with people. And then also we have, if people are not ready for this commitment yet, we have another 2 towers going up behind, and that will be ready in about 3.5 years. So that is also going to be a great payment schedule for people who just want to put down, a portion at 7% to 15% now, and then at the end, the majority of the money as construction happens. So I'm a big fan of Netanya. I think it's fabulous. There's so many, also Yamim's a new area as well, which is amazing. But this is excellent prices right now. They're having a sale now. And I remind everybody just to mute yourself. Sorry. Whatever, you can see who's on.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm going to stop my share here.
Okay. Okay, I'm going to open it up now. Thank you so much. We're coming up to nearly an hour. So I wanted to open up to the floor. If anybody has any questions, please feel free to unmute yourself and ask away. It can be anything related to tonight's call about Aliyah, anything you want to know, your concerns, please feel free
Kim?
to ask. Yes.
Hi, Kim. I have a question. I actually wrote it, but I'll just ask you. In Canada, when we buy homes, we just sold our home here. People generally, thank you. People generally negotiate prices. Is that something that's done in Israel, or is it like that's what it is?
Absolutely, 100%. And it really just depends on where you're looking. Sometimes the prices, like in a project, the one that we just spoke about in Netanya, these are sale prices. So they're not going to go down, if very minimal. But I never take no for an answer. So if there's a property that you really want, and if I can, I will do my very best to bring down the price, even if it's a little bit. But there is generally room. That's why I always say the asking price. Like, I'll give you an example. Let's say a property is asking price is 2.5 million shekels, and it's really going to depend on where it is and the location. I will probably put my first offer in at around 2.3 or 2.2. There's not a huge discount on the price, but we definitely try and bring down the price a little bit. So that there is, I don't know, I'm sure in Canada it's the same, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah, so we do try. Again, and sometimes I'll have clients that will say to me, if I'm representing the seller, it's a non-negotiable price. My asking price is my selling price. Okay. And even then I try and go down a bit. But generally it's important to have that information up front to your client. I know, like, for example, in some of the top locations right now in Jerusalem, there's so many people looking. We don't negotiate. It's like, it is what it is, and it's a take it or leave it situation.
So here in Canada right now, where we live, it's the opposite. People are having to bid much higher than the asking price. We were asking for our house 1.29 million Canadian dollars, and we got 1.365 Canadian dollars.
Amazing.
So it's a whole, but now we're on the other end of it to buy.
And it's interesting you're saying that, because I have lots of clients in Canada, in Florida, and they're saying to me that people are knocking on because everybody's moved from New York, right? So people are knocking on doors and asking if people want to sell their homes.
Wow.
And we're talking top dollar. We know there's like, how much do you want for your house? It's unbelievable. The problem is nobody wants to sell because they have nowhere to go. So but generally, it really is a seller's market right now.
Right. Okay. Thank you so much for that.
My pleasure. Absolute pleasure.
Does it help if you offer all cash without a mortgage?
Is that who's speaking? I don't know who I'm talking to.
I am Philip Gordon. I'm Philip in Newfield. We're both here.
Oh, hi. How are you? Okay, so just repeat the question again.
Does it help if you can offer all cash?
It really depends how motivated the seller is. So in some situations, absolutely. And if you can get the money very quickly, yes. But it not depends on every situation is different.
And how do you clarify 2 full bathrooms, meaning toilet, sink, and shower and or bath, at least a shower?
So usually it will be one of the bathrooms will have a bath with a shower as well, like inside the bath, and the other will just be a shower. So usually all the 2 bedrooms will have 2 bathrooms as well, most of them, 2 full bathrooms. Sometimes they have 2.5, and a half would just be the toilet. A guest bath, a guest toilet.
So it would be the 3rd toilet in the unit.
Wherever you see a half, it's just the toilet.
And so that means that if the toilet is in one room and the sink and the shower or tub is in another room, that's not 2 bathrooms.
No, but usually that doesn't happen. Don't see that. I usually see it's 2 full bathrooms and plus a guest toilet.
Okay, thank you. And the sink.
And make sure you ask these questions if you're looking at a particular purchase, that you clarify with whoever you're looking at with the property.
Thank you.
There's a very big thing going on now, which I don't understand it, because I always think a bath is so important, even for resale value. I went into a very luxurious property in Jerusalem, and they had every room was an ensuite. Every room had its own private bathroom. Not one of them had a bath. Every single one of them had a shower.
Oh.
And I was like, that's lovely, but what if you had like relatives who come over, or you have somebody who wants a bath? So I don't know. The guy was, I don't know. He says that nobody in America, everybody likes to shower. So I said, okay. But anyway, I always recommend if you're building from scratch, you always have 1 bath, no matter what.
Thank you.
Pleasure. Any other questions?
So it doesn't look in Jerusalem as if prices are going down, given what's going on in the rest of the world.
It's not going down anywhere. It's not just Jerusalem, it's everywhere.
Well, that's because Israel is now the safest place in the world for Jews, and we're all realizing it. There's no help. But
yeah, listen, people don't like it when I say it, and I'm never embarrassed to say it, and I will say it again, and I'll say it again, and I'll say it again, and I may not be popular when I say it, but I really believe, religious, not religious, I really believe that Hashem, God, is closing down the diaspora, and every Jew needs to come to Israel, whether we like it or not. So I just very strongly feel that, and I'm not saying Israel's easy, and I'm not saying Israel's perfect, but it's because it isn't, and there's a lot of issues here as well. But I'd rather be in Israel than be anywhere else in the
I
world.
did not.
Well, I
So
think
I
Israel will protect its citizens, which is more than is happening in the United States. And the Lubavitcher Rebbe said during the Scuds, even as the Scuds were coming, Israel is the safest place for Jews to be.
Well, I live in the old city, and many people were, when the rockets were going off, and there were stabbings, and there was rioting on the Temple Mount, and it was really, really crazy. People messaging me all the time. I didn't even know what was going on. They were telling me what was going on. I felt so safe. I was like, I'm fine. What's going on? I don't know what you're talking about. So I just think we're living in little scary times right now. And it doesn't mean that that everybody should just pack up and come. You have to make the right decisions for each family is different. But I definitely think that as investments, even if Aliyah is not on the agenda, I think that if anybody has any money to spare and you can invest in Eretz Israel, I think it is the best investment you'll ever make. I really believe that.
Can I ask a question?
Hi, Neil. How are you?
Okay. How realistic are the dates when you say availability or it'll be ready August 2023? Is that something that's realistic, or generally is it
It's
takes longer?
it's pretty good. And I mean, anything from, I would say, there are penalties. So if a developer is saying that it's going to be ready in a particular time frame and it's not, they have to pay you rental, whatever it may be, if it's not really a penalty. So this year has been a little tricky because of COVID, but most projects that I've worked with over the last couple of years have all delivered pretty much on time. I mean, buildings are going up here. It's crazy. If you walk downtown Jerusalem, there are, I mean, I was walking to town the other day from the old city, 13 cranes.